Why are we still gardening like it's 2010 or 1979? Those days are long gone. If you're still reading that book, it's out of touch. And if you're following that map, it's outdated, okay? So it's time to move on and know and get what is present and applicable to today. So today we're going to go into some points, some tips that can help people in the garden to know what's up, what is not up anymore, and how to keep their gardening moving, okay? Let's get into it. First, there's the zone maps. The zone maps that moves like a ghost. It seems as if it's ghosting you out more than anything else. And what happens is the maps have changed. Certain climates have become warmer. There are certain geographical patterns that have shifted. And so you have to adapt. And in starting with that, you have to start with your seeds, the basic things, the seed packets, okay? So even looking on some of these seed packets, it will give certain guidelines, which are very helpful. This is for okra, which is very good to plant now, by the way. And it says on it, when should I start planting? When should I start planting? Which is good. However, if your zoning has changed in that where you are living is now deemed warmer than colder, starting something as okra, even a tad bit sooner, might work out better for you. Fair enough, of course, you're not into like a fall spring situation. But once the soil itself is really warm enough to accommodate okra seeds, or any seeds in fact, it is better. So looking at the seed packets is good, you know. I have a variety of seeds here from different, even the Dollar Tree, and it does give a zoning thing on it as well, which is good. But what I'm trying to say is pay attention to what's happening in your area now, what zone you fall in now, because some of these seeds, pepper, spinach, I have beets here, might not be applicable anymore or not as yet in your zone, okay? So look at your packets. They are good starting points, but what I'm trying to say, they are not definitive anymore because the maps have changed. And just so you know, the first map, the map that was here before, so the new one is of 2023. The new map is of 2023. The map before that was 2012, and it is based on the warm climate, how warm the climate is now, or how fast it is warming up now. And even though it's 2012, that map was based on data from mid 1970s to like 2005. And now the latest map from 2023 is like from 1991, thereabout 2005, you know, till 2020. So just bear certain things in mind, that even though it's a new map, it's still behind the data point that they studied. So you still have to edit and watch your garden where you are. Be specific to where you are, and that might be your best guideline, okay? In case you're just joining, hi, my name is Deb, Two Raised Beds to Freedom here, and we seek knowledge, we seek to grow. One of the smallest spaces on YouTube, but one of the biggest invites here. So what I'm talking about today is the USDA zoning map that has changed, the latest one being in 2023, and how we can use the information to move forward, build our garden, build our knowledge, and help us grow, okay? So if you're here, welcome. We're going to continue along, and we have many more points. The first point was the ever fleeting, the ghosting, zoning, and your zone might have changed. Like for me, where I am in Florida, it was before zone 9. Now I'm zone 10, okay, which speaks to the warming of the climate. Nothing bad, but just a point for you to note so you can know what to do and what you're planting and when, okay? So let's move along. So now we're talking about the shifting of frost dates and shifting of frosting windows. That is one thing that is affected by the updated USDA zones, because what happens is now certain temperatures, warm temperatures, are being felt earlier in the year, and then it might create a situation such as a fall spring. So you may think, oh, spring is here, but it is not. It warms up and then it gets back cold real fast. So you are now confused. The plants are confused. But then you have to take into consideration that window so you know what to do and what to plant, or not what to plant just as yet, okay? So that is another thing too. The window, the last frost date, the seed packets give those, but they are not strict guidelines anymore. You have to know your area, where you're living, what worked, and what you can adjust to that, okay? So as I'm going along here, I'm doing some replanting. Yes, I know I should be wearing gloves. It's something that I guess from I was small enough to play in dirt, and here I am still playing in dirt. But anyhow, I had little incident in my garden. It is looking real sparse now, real sparse and different. Okay, there was a herbicide situation. My neighbor sprayed herbicide and it affected, the close neighbors. I'm one of them. So I'm replanting certain things and my basil is one of them. So yes, I'm doing this and going along. Okay. The other factor, is heat. Heat seems to be the new cold, okay? So before now, those USDA zones, of course, were heavy on focusing on heat, on cold, when the cold would set in, the severity of the cold, and the zones in which that coldness would be. But now the heat has been more prevalent than the cold itself. So now you're forced with a situation to focus on plants that can withstand the heat better and more and for longer, you understand, and when to plant those. Okay, so it is very important that you know that, because it helps, because if you plant certain crops that are not heat tolerable, of course they're going to die, and if you plant them too early, even more so, they won't be able to gain the strength they need to survive. So that is what happens now with these changing shifts. Rightfully so, the USDA zoning is very good. It's a very good starting point, but it is heavy now for you to be cognizant on those factors. Okay, so we're gonna be busy working here, moving right along. I got 2 basil plants down and I'm moving on to the next point. The other point now is certain shifting. The shifting of the sun, the shifting of certain ecosystems and micro ecosystems within your environment. The USDA code is very cognizant of something like this. 30 years ago, just imagine it, where you are now, where your garden is now. 30 years ago, the ecosystem of that area will be very different. Probably there will be a humongous tree, 30 oak trees. Probably it was a banana field. Probably it was an orange field, that kind of thing. Like where I am, it was a big orange citrus plantation, and now it's no more. But then there are big oak trees present in various yards. So the ecosystem has changed, it has shifted, and everything within it, plants, animals, birds, whatever, is now different. So you have to accommodate that. And what that means is the type of crops that you would plant in those areas has also shifted. So you have to keep up, you have to adjust. That's one of the main things with gardening. You have to adjust, you have to be adaptable. One thing I notice here, yes, this is a small 2-bed system that I have going on here, but I have my own ecosystem within it. And I'm going to show you one thing, and that's what I'm going to use this rosemary plant to do. So I'm going to take some propagations. I use my heaviest because rosemary is very thick, very woody. So I have something thicker to cut it, and I'm going to be propagating it and putting it in specific areas of the bed, and I'm going to be telling you why. Okay. Now, what I've noticed in my beds is that even though I keep my beds adequately moist, sufficiently now to maintain the plants, the rain has been falling for a couple of days, which is good, so I don't have to water so heavily. What I notice is the corners of my beds, they still maintain a bit of dryness, which is quite fine, but it is suited for rosemary. Of course, rosemary doesn't like its feet to be wet. You understand? It likes dry areas. And I need the benefit of this as pest control. So here I am capitalizing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be propagating these stems. I remove the bottom piece, and I'm going to be putting it in the very corner of the bed. If I have a nice rosemary bush in the corner here, that's fine, okay? And it works out good because this now represents a microclimate that I have identified even within my small space, something even smaller. So just bear in mind that even no matter what the climate is, there are always microclimates, subclimates beneath that, because there are always areas that function different and it could be very opposite to the general climate in the area. And if you can adapt to that, then your garden will do the same and it will be prosperous. Okay, so here I am planting the last piece. There you have it. The other thing that's good to know in your garden relates to the soil. In years gone by, you understand, in the 70s, the 80s, early 2000s, the focus was to dump nutrients, get a bag of 10, 10, 10, and just dump on the soil. Just do whatever you want to do. And that feeds the soil. We have now come to realize that that is not so. The soil that you have here is just as fertile or a different ecosystem from what is above. So there is a shifting to realize that it's not about dumping the soil, but soil biology, okay? So even in focusing on these USDA zones, telling you what is now warmer, where is now warmer, where is now colder, it has impact for the soil. Because if somewhere is getting hotter faster, the soil biology will change, because what will thrive in it will change, and what you can facilitate to thrive there will change. Hence, us working, making our own compost tea, because that has changed. 30 years ago, the focus wasn't on that. Doing compost, making your own fertilizer, doing that kind of thing, it wasn't big, it wasn't heavy. Now it is, and now we see why, okay? Because it is easier for us to build the soil than dump all sorts of fertilizers in it. Because that has allowed us to create something like this, an ecosystem that can thrive on its own based on nutrients, organisms that is built within, not outside, okay? So that is what helps us. It is not always good to focus on the external, but internal. And especially in a small setting just like mine, it helps. And now I am rebuilding again, and I am very grateful. It is another learning process. You lose once, learn twice, and here I am going at it again, better than I was before. So knowing that helps, and paying attention to your USDA zones helps, because you know the soil is warmer, the soil is better. What can you put in it? Okay, let's move on. I touched on this earlier, okay? And that relates to watering and rainfall. The USDA zones, updated zones, also focuses on that. It helps you to know what rainfall will be like, because in warmer areas closer to the equator, closer to certain things, you have more rainfall. Okay, and in doing so, it has high impact for your garden. What loves water, what can survive when it gets a lot of water, and how you can modify your watering. And it is exactly what I am doing, because now it's the rainy season, I'm getting more rain, but it's not just rain. 30 years ago, you used to have 3 inches of rain possibly falling over a month. Okay, now you have no rainfall for a month and 3 inches of rain in 3 days. So what that tells you now for your garden, you have to adjust, okay? You have to modify. And with that being said, these plants that are here, I'm gonna get them out because they were damaged in the herbicidal drift that I had. And it's time for it to go, and I have some new runners that I'm gonna be putting in. So this is how we just have to keep moving. We can't be crying over spilled milk. We just have to readjust and move on, okay? And that is exactly what I am doing. So I'm taking this out, getting this out, and I have another runner to put, okay? So we're gonna keep moving. All right, next. One more thing to note is that seeds are not the same, just like yesteryear. So it helps when you think about the USDA updated code as well, the zones as well, because you have seeds and they may be labeled, oh yes, heirloom seeds. But this heirloom, not that it is bad, but it might be stronger 30 years ago. Now with the troubles of today, can these seeds stand? You have pests, you have the severe heat, you have the sporadic rainfall. Can they stand? You understand? So I did a short, by the way, on how I store my seeds. And not only that, once the packet is open, you have to make sure that moisture doesn't get in if you're not using all the seeds, that is. And that can be a challenge, because by now we know that germination is irreversible. And once that gets going, that's it. So I have my own DIY method and the things I use to save the seeds. So that is another factor too. Make a note of the heating zones of today, because if certain moisture and certain heat touches the seeds that you're saving from last season, it's no good, and then you'll have nothing to plant for that produce. So you just have to readjust, okay? So now to my last point. My last point here is data versus diary. Okay? So I know some of us, at least I do, I keep a little diary, certain little things I keep written down, and you'd be surprised, either my very gardening plans that I did first, I still keep them and I have them because that represents starting points that you can go back to, look at, modify, and see where you are now and what you can readjust. That data is all well and good, but the thing though, this data is just specific to my garden, my little area, and nothing broader. You need to know what's happening outside. You need to know what's happening in your area, in your zone, in your county that may be better for you, okay? And especially where certain diseases are concerned, you need to be aware and be knowledgeable. So that is where data beats the diary, okay? And the other thing too, your diary, yes, this might be looking very fat. This might be a 3-month thing that I've had all my paperwork here, but data is much more wider. It can be a 10, a 20-year span. And that 20-year span makes a difference, okay? So it is not just to say, okay, today, and for now, but think about later and what you're doing, okay? So that is it for me, my small thoughts on the USDA zones and why you should pay attention to them and why I am. Yes, it updates, but you need to pay attention on the why behind it, okay? So you can modify your little space and grow better, grow bigger, okay? So that is it from me today. Deb here signing out. See you in the next one. So we're going to chug along, keep going, keep growing, and we're going to sow together, grow together, harvest together. See you in the next one. Bye.